All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the second episode of Three Borrachos. Here with me today is
your buddy Mike.
Gabe.
And I'm Ron. Hey, I want to start off by kind of just saying thank you to all of our supporters. Episode 1 was super fun. You know, that was our first take, right? Like we went into that as a dry run and we came out of it like, oh yeah, that actually worked. So I just want to say thank you for bearing with us and having a good time. We did. So we got a lot to talk about today. We just to give a background on how often we're going to be releasing episodes. Every 2 weeks, I think, is our balance here. Gives us time to kind of get out and travel places and promote new things. So every Monday or Tuesday, every 2 weeks, I think, is when we'll push those out. But speaking of that, over the past 2 weeks, we've been pretty busy, right? We've been doing a lot. Last weekend, we traveled out. Gabe went out of state, so we're going to talk about that. I mean, we're doing a lot. I mean, you're doing home projects. Gabe, you're still working on El Camino.
Yeah.
Like, we got a lot of stuff going on. But let's start off by talking about what we're sipping on. So, Mike, what you got in your glass?
All right, so today we have another banger out of Treehouse here. So this was their Happy New Year 2025 release, double IPA, 8.6%. Again, really out of Treehouse, you really can't go wrong. Super smooth, great kick to it. So just a really great beer just to kick back to.
Hell yeah.
Cool. So I'm drinking one of my favorite breweries on the planet, the Vegan, from our friends at Fidens in Albany, New York. They make some really, really great beers. Double IPA, 8.5% Citra Galaxy Nelson Bomb. Tastes phenomenal. So if it's got Fidens on it, you can pretty much expect to have your taste buds rocked.
Man, that's a staple, right? So,
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
For a sipper beer for the show, it's
Yeah. And thank you, Mike, for loaning me a beer. The beer I brought was an oops beer, and it didn't work out. So
it's all
appreciate the save.
I brought another banger as well. So there was only 12 cans available at the time, but this is from Ill Will, A Feast for Crows. Ill Will did a Game of Thrones release a couple weeks ago, maybe. And this is a blackberry cheesecake smoothie sour. Dude, we just all tried this beforehand, and it was...
I really feel like Aaron should be sitting in a throne or on a throne drinking that beer, because that thing is out of this world.
Dude,
good.
It's great.
That blackberry hits hard.
Yeah.
It's great cheesecake flavor to it. Great cheesecake head. But wow, that flavor, wow.
And
it's
it
incredible.
It looks amazing, but it tastes even better. It's hard to believe, but once again, Ill Will's just killing the smoothie game.
Yeah, you talked a lot about it last week, so I thought I'd bring it on the show and at least show you what it looks like in person. But man, so we got our sipper beers. Let's talk about what we had throughout the week. So our top 2 beers of the week, Mike.
So I got more good beers every week, right? So, but I started off with the Night Air out of Fidens, a recent release. Single IPA with Citra Amarillo and Peacherine. It has a 4.32 rating across 100 and some odd check-ins, but that's because it's a new release. But yeah, I mean, like big smooth mouth feel, real oat feel to it. But yeah, I mean, it was a great beer. I think I checked it in like a 4 or 5. So really good. And then also had more coats from Monkish, right? And so that is a double dry hop, triple IPA, 446 global rating across,
smokes.
2,000 ratings, right? But again, anytime you see something like that coming out of Monkish, you got to get your hands on it. It's another great beer. And I think that one came in at a 4.75. So
yeah, I mean, Monkish, Fidens, Treehouse, like you're going to see them, Ill Will, Glag. Those are going to be regulars on the show probably.
Yeah. Let me edit that. It wasn't more coats; it was more crates.
Crates.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
got
Monkish,
you.
yeah.
Crates.
Okay.
I thought, Mike, you got an exclusive there for a second, bro.
No, I'm not that special.
What you got? What you have?
Yeah. So after we broke shop and was celebrating after our last show, first recording for the first episode, we busted a King Julius from Treehouse, and that's a single K, single J King Julius. Not it looks like a basic can, orange can, no special label or anything on it. From Treehouse, it's everything but ordinary. It's super smooth, lots of hops, just fantastic. I think I rated it like a 4.75 if I remember correctly. I mean, I remember drinking it. I've had the 3K and 3J King Julius, the special limited edition that they do annually, and thought, this is probably the best Treehouse comes out with. But that King Julius surprised me, especially for one of their standard beers that they have on tap and have in the tap room and available all the time, pretty much. So 8.2 Imperial Double IPA, 4.61 global rating, which is insane when you're thinking how many thousands of cans have been drank of that. So very, very good beer. Another one I had this week, and this one was kind of surprising to me, and I'll talk about it a little bit more with our trips, but had the Dank Meme from Triptych Brewing, 5.4% American Pale Ale. It was kind of crazy because, when you go to the pizza joint, I was visiting my mom for her birthday, and you go to the pizza joint, you're not expecting to have, fire beers in central Illinois. So I looked on Untapped. It was a 396 global rating, which for us, I'm not going to lie, like for us in the beers we drink, it's relatively on the lower side, but one sip of it, realized it was everything but a 396 global rating. It was a really good beer. I think I rated it a 4.25. Really surprisingly good beer. Not because Triptych doesn't make great beer. It was just seeing how low the global rating in the thousands but so it was a good surprise. But it was really good. Very, very, it was perfect. We were eating pizza at the bowling alley and just cranking them back. It was a perfect beer for that. So anytime you can find an IPA like that at the bowling alley pizza joint, man, it's all like
in the
Donkey
middle
Kong.
of nowhere, Illinois.
It's usually Voodoo Ranger or something.
Cornfield, 1 in 10,000. But it was good. So those are probably my two beers that I enjoyed the most since last show.
Right on. So I'll start with mine from Brujos. Although it wasn't just from Brujos, it was a 5-banger collab with Fidens, North Park, Green Cheek, and Troon. West Coast American IPA called Nonstop. So if you know us, we're not usually picking the Westies out of the mix.
We're
off the
them
shelf.
away.
Right, exactly. So, but when you see 5 of those names on the same, collab beer, I was very interested. So I went ahead and got it. And I'll be honest, it impressed me. For a West Coast IPA, it was very crisp. It was hoppy, slightly floral, I'd say, and it had some soft pine. It wasn't too like hoppy and piney and danky like most of the bitter American IPAs are. So I was just very impressed by it. So yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? Because you guys tried.
Well,
shit.
yeah, yes. Aaron was like, "Holy shit, guys! Like, you got to taste this!" And knowing that we're not big in the West Coast game, but that thing was good, like super good. I would drink those.
And the first thing you think about the West Coast is it's going to taste like pine needles, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not opposed to that at all. So, but with that level of collaboration, it was super smooth, right?
Yeah.
Great flavor to it. That was, and that's something I would love to. I would drink it again. Absolutely.
Didn't you pick it out? Yeah, you got one on the way, right?
I got a buddy who's going to bring one.
Okay.
And I think it's worth saying too, Mike, is that you said it was super clean, and I think that's something that with the West Coast vibe. They usually hang on your tongue and you hang out for a while, right? And then just kind of like keep punching you. And it's good. It's just a different type of beer. But that one did not have that. And it was just, you drink it it hung around for a little bit, but it wasn't like a super long.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely West Coast. Like you can't argue that at all.
Yeah.
But I think that collaboration really smoothed and like, all this. You get all the great flavors, but without that giant punch.
And Brujos is another one of those breweries that is doing big things, and they're huge.
I mean, every one of those breweries.
And people go crazy for them. I mean, they're not very plentiful. They don't. They're hard to get. So, people pay some money for some Brujoses. So.
Yeah, as soon as I poured it, you could see through the glass, and I was a little worried. But it was super crisp and clean. I was impressed.
Good beer, super good beer.
My second one was from Fidens. It was a triple IPA, something we could no longer contain. I think it was a tribute to the what's it called? I can't remember it's a Canadian band. The guy with the cap, I think his name's I can't remember, but they do a lot of those series, and so it was a tribute to him again. Simcoe, Citra, and Idaho 7 hops. When I say that it was a banger, it was a banger, dude. I gave it a 5, and I just don't understand how Fidens constantly puts out awesome triples. They are. And they're all different. Are on another level.
Yeah, and I think that's
limited releases. Yeah. Right. You always have a quantity per person. Right. So and then everybody fights over it. So
it's just they have broken the code. I just don't understand how they do it all the time. But that's what you come to expect from them. So it was a great beer. So those two kind of topped my list for this week as well. All right, so that's what we've been doing these past couple of weeks, trying some great brews. Let's talk about last weekend. So we went out and about and had some adventures. Gabe, how was your trip to Illinois?
Yeah, good. Went back to see my mom for her 70th. So anytime I get out and about, I try to check out some breweries, and she's all about it. So she loves trying new beers, and we've been to the Vale together. She's been to Precarious. She's been to 1700 several times. So she's all about going and trying new beers and hanging out. So yeah, we stopped by Triptych in Savoy, Illinois. Unfortunately, didn't get to sit around and drink beers. Had family coming over from all over. My brother came up from St. Louis, so we had to kind of grab beers to go. But talked to the staff a little bit. Got a 4-pack to go. Super cool joint. Really awesome place. A large amount of just a variety of beers there. And like I said, you're in central Illinois, there's not much around but farms. It's outside of Champaign, so you got the University of Illinois right there. But it was a really cool place. I really wish I had a little bit more time to spend and really go check out and taste some other of the brews. But the two I had, Say Juice Again and then Dank Meme, they were great. Hazy IPAs. But yeah, it was a really cool joint, and you guys will see in the pictures and stuff that it was pretty neat spot.
Cool. Well, we took a trip up to Richmond. It was a good time. It was hit 3 spots. Want to talk about the Vale?
Yeah, so hit the Vales up there at Scott's Edition. And so just a different neighborhood in Richmond, right? Of course, there's 3 Vales. Of course, one down in Norfolk, 2 in Richmond. We went to the one that has, Asian food, right? So they have a whole restaurant inside. And so we got there. We had to take Gabe to the airport, actually. But we got there. We actually had to wait a couple minutes in the parking lot. So like true raging alcoholics, we were there before opening. And
storming the doors.
We were not the only ones, though.
That's true.
There was a release that day.
Yeah. So what we didn't know was that the Vale was doing a barley wine release. And so there was all kinds of different people there, gathering up all these barley wines, all this special edition. I mean, they had some that was
dude, it was
they had one
this tall.
It had to have been close. I don't know, a gallon and a half. I mean, it was massive.
Formula One champagne bottle.
Just one. Yeah. They made one.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So they had 5 or 6 barley wines releasing, but they only had one giant one of the 5, right? And then one a middle sized one, and then the normal ones, right? Yeah. And so I was talking to the dude who got the giant one. I'm like, like, are you waiting for like a wedding party, or he's like, I don't know, like something, or maybe a big beer share. And I'm like,
That's a big beer share.
That's a lot of
people
people for a beer share.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So, but it's a great venue, right? So we had a couple good beers there. You know, I mean, like that was a great time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The venue. So if you've ever been to Vail, any of them, like their venue is just, it's like a clean design. Like it is nice and it has concrete, neon lights everywhere. They have projector like display screens.
Wide open.
Yeah, it's open floor design. Like it's super cool. So just being in it is, there wasn't a whole lot of people there because it was at noon. But
11.
Okay, 11.
Everybody eating drinking 10%
Waking up on a
IPAs.
Saturday, yeah. So, but yeah, it was fine. We just wanted to get out and about and see it. Real quick, have you ever had a barley wine?
No.
Have
Yes.
you? You have?
Yes.
I have not.
So it's a definitely a different style and different taste. I would say just like everything else we've drank, right? Like you got to kind of build that taste palette in your repertoire. Like you can't just like, you're probably not going to drink a bar. I mean, there are people that drink barley wines are like, oh man, this thing is delicious. This is the first one I've ever had.
Is it more like a wine or is it more?
It's just
a beer?
it's like a port kind of. So it's
Okay.
kind of like I don't want to say dirty. It's kind of like the hazy
dirty.
side. Yeah, I mean it's.
We'll have to try one.
It was
We'll have
like
to try one.
it's kind of like a dirty wine or a port. You know what I mean? Like so you have the big thing is, from what I've remember, raisiny, tobacco-y,
Yeah.
like not as like a porter or stout, but it's got its own
Savory,
different thing.
yeah.
A lot of
Okay.
them are barrel aged too, so you're gonna have that hotness too.
I would imagine if you were in the area, almost a regular to the Vail, that you might be like, all right, cool, let me try one while I'm here, right? Obviously we didn't,
Right, right.
but we don't get to go there very often. So like when you roll in there, it's like, oh man, here's this double dry hop that I want to try, or this IPA or whatever, right?
Yeah,
So
they've always got too many. Like you can't drink all the ones you want to drink.
yeah. So I mean, I didn't feel like getting rolled out of there and
Yeah,
like
whatever.
noon o'clock.
He's lying.
It was our first
He's
stop.
lying.
It was our first stop.
It was the first stop, right?
Pace ourselves, yeah.
And so so I think we just prioritized other things over that.
Yeah, and I think once you drink one of those, it's similar to like a stout or a porter, right? Like once you drink one of those, your kind of taste buds are smoked for a little bit. And
Yeah.
most of
I
them,
can imagine that.
if I
Yeah.
remember right, man, I think most of them are like 14 to 16%. So you're not drinking, these kind of glasses full of it.
Yeah.
You're drinking some tasters.
Yep.
We'll have to get one and share it.
Yeah, we'll have to.
I'm interested in
We'll
it.
have to get the, roll it live on the film just so we can see
Real
the
reactions,
initial,
yeah.
the real
Capture our
like,
faces.
Yeah, because it is definitely a taste that you have to
Right.
kind of learn how to drink. Yeah.
For sure. Then we went to Final Gravity. Yeah, that place was cool. Gabe, you told us about that place.
Yep.
I'd say walking up to it, you probably wouldn't even notice it. It's in the middle of a plaza, but when you walk in, it is open floor design. It actually has a good space. It was super cool. They have some pinball in the back. They had a grain room, which I have not seen. They had like buckets of grain in a room with a window. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
There was a guy there doing some work in at the stills.
Yeah.
He did not want to be videotaped, so I told him, okay, that's fine. But so I don't have any pictures of him. But it was cool. Yeah. That's good beer too.
Yeah. So they definitely had some good IPAs there. Enough. I mean, we had a flight, whatever, and then one of them was good enough. I went back for a full pour on it, so it was definitely some good brews there. The venue itself was great. There's no food, but I mean, there's people who brought in their own stuff, which I think is also kind of, I mean, like if you go someplace and they have food, that's one thing, right? And some of it can be very good, right?
Yep.
So like, you go back to the Vail, right? So we've been to the Vail a couple times, and we've tried the different ones because they have certain food. So if we want, Mexican food or pizza or whatever, we hit that specific one. But because these guys didn't have food, we've been to plenty of places like that. So you can just order something in, or, I mean, there was people that brought, chips and salsa. And they just cracked it out and they're just sitting there eating out the table.
That's dope.
Mike nestled up next to him, was double dipping tortilla chips.
Yeah. Is that hot? Is that medium? Yeah. Now, but that was good, right? Then, so we left there, wanted to grab a bite to eat. And so, if you're in Richmond, and you want to get some good Vietnamese food
Oh yeah.
with an amazing beer menu, I mean, there's only one place to go,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so you go to Mekong, right? So, we went there, had a couple really good beers. I mean, and their list is everything. I mean, it's Trillium and Clag and all these really good breweries, and it's always stuff that you haven't had.
Yeah.
And then the
I mean, what
food's
they have
amazing
like
also.
a Messemer from Canada, which is
Masorum,
Masorum, yeah.
Last time.
Super hard to get,
Yeah.
and they got it on
Root
the
and
menu.
branch,
It's
like they have
crazy.
the
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
that you typically don't see. Yeah.
So
And their food menu is
Oh,
extensive.
Yeah.
Like it
is
is
delicious.
You can get whatever you want there.
Yeah.
and the
And
staff,
the staff is great.
great.
Like we went there for my birthday. The guy, we left a little too late, but the guy offered to give me a free beer, and
we were well on our way to
Oh, yeah.
Hammertown, and one of the, I'm assuming one of the owners or relatives or whatever offered to buy Aaron a full pour, and we're like, Aaron, you got to take this, and we're on our way to Answer, and it's like, I think we've had enough.
Yeah.
And the venue is set up to where it's like casual seating that you would imagine families are at, or 6 people sitting there, whatever, right? But then they have a great high top area, with all the TVs in the bar, right? And so I think that's a really good spot.
The night we went for Aaron's birthday, we watched football in the bar, and they got a bar area that's got top shelf stuff. And then I met my buddy Jay to watch the Mets beat the Dodgers, and drove up to Richmond to meet him there from DC. He drove from DC and sat there and watched the game on the big screen TVs, and it was cool atmosphere. Like I love that place. Like I wish it was closer, because I might be getting fat off Vietnamese food.
Well, the other good thing about it is it's literally attached to the Answer.
Oh yeah,
It's literally next door. You can walk over to a brand new brewery and try their awesome beer too, and that's one of our favorites too. So
and the Answer's kind of well known in the craft brewing scene. Maybe not to a lot of people that are just starting, but up at Richmond, you want to get into some smoothie sours and some crazy beers. The Answer's a good spot. I mean, we stop there every time we go to Richmond. I mean, I don't think we've been to Richmond without going to the Answer. Like it's fun. Yeah. It's a good, cool atmosphere.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
okay, well, we're gonna start a new segment, if you will. We're going to try to do something different each week, but this week we're going to talk about what got us into craft beer. Why are we the way we are? Right?
Why are we the people that our wives hate when it comes to craft beer?
So I'll start because I think I'm probably the newest into the game. But I would say that the first thing that kind of got me into drinking, not like an alcoholic, but
because they drink differently.
They do, but was my buddies when I was stationed in Hawaii. My buddies, we would get around and share whiskey and tequila. I was sipping kind of like some weird lagers at the time, and we would go over there and they would say, "Hey, I got this whiskey. They weren't cocktails like I was used to. There was actual like good whiskey that you would just sip. So that's kind of where I started, but when we started to go to different places like Whole Foods or Total Wine or something like that, I'd start to kind of try, the typical stuff like you'd see Voodoo Ranger, right? Deschutes. I started to try that stuff, and I started to like hazy IPAs. So from there, I moved to Maryland, and DC has an okay.
So what year is this?
This was probably 5 years ago. Yeah, exactly. 5 years ago. So I got to DC and I started to, their beer laws are weird in Maryland and stuff. So I didn't get and that was during COVID too. So I didn't get a whole lot of time there. But I would say the time I got and met you guys when I got here about 3 years ago is when I really started to love hazies, because I mean, hazies, if you try something off the shelf from like the grocery store, it's good. But whenever you guys started popping Equilibrium and Tripping Animals and Other Half and Mortalis, I was like, what is this world? Right? So that's kind of my journey. I would say it's only gone up from here. It's probably, I don't know if it's going to hit the ceiling and if we're pushing it right now. But
I mean, I think we do pretty good at I mean, look at the beers that are on the table.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's,
I mean, they're maybe not like all fives, but I mean,
So although my journey was shorter, like I kind of got into the liquor at first. And I still drink whiskey and stuff. I know you guys don't enjoy it as much, but I still like some scotch and good stuff. But I will throw down on some hazies. I know it's okay. Maybe
Scotch.
one day. Maybe one day we'll get
Not
Noah.
that
to
I don't have
teach
adult
you.
taste buds yet.
Not that culture.
It's all right. It's okay. Yeah. So Mike, what got you into it?
So, I mean, I can think back, and I was young, man. I was, I would say probably senior airman-ish, staff sergeant-ish, man. So this is probably 98, 99-ish. And craft beer wasn't a thing, right? So I was at Holloman, and the closest thing you had to anything not Bud Light was, you'd get Bitburger or some Carl's, not Carl's, some Beck's would be in there.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd have some different German beers. And so at first you're like, hold on, there's stuff with taste.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what's kind of like, changed everything is like, hold on. And that's when you kind of graduate from, just water into like actual flavoring. Right. And so, but then we went overseas for a long time. And so our first stop was in England. And so when we landed in England and we went to the shop at there, I mean, it was, IPAs and good ales and things like that. And so all of a sudden you're like, what is this IPA thing? Right. And so it's a British IPA,
like traditional British,
the traditional, right? And so, but then all of a sudden, like again, your kind of taste buds begin to explode a little bit, and you're like, wow, like this is really, really good stuff. And then went to Japan, and when you go to Japan, I mean, a lot of their beers it's drinking
their rice lager is their go-to for everything.
But I was lucky enough to find, a beer shop that actually had beer that was distributed from England. Mm-hmm. And so we rolled in there, and they had like cases. And when I say cases, I mean like, they're boxes, right? There's 12 bottles in there, right? And so I'm going through there, and I'm just grabbing all of them, and I'm dropping like $500.
Yeah.
It was like $5 a pint.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Goodness.
Oh yeah. But I mean, like when you're used to having a certain flavored beer, when you get there and you're like, hold on, I have to drink Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light, like I'm not living that life. And thank God my wife supported the habit, right? But yeah, so like, and then when we left Japan, we got back to the States, we landed in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And North Carolina has a boatload of breweries. And so that's when we truly found the craft scene. Everything we'd found before, mass, produced and all that, distributed and all that kind of good stuff. But then North Carolina, we found out like, okay, now I can begin to see all the different styles of beers. And then that's what kind of opened up the aperture for me. And so, North Carolina, we went to California, a lot of West Coasts over there, right? A lot of good ones,
for
right?
sure, yeah.
Totally good with that. And then by the time we got here, like what I thought that I knew that I liked was all ruined by Gabe. Because Gabe, like, I'm getting some beers. At this time, I think, like, I'm probably still shopping for the most part at Total Wine.
Yeah.
Just kind of coming up with whatever. I know that, I mean, I was getting kegs, like quarter barrels from, the Early Birds guys, depending on whatever they could get from the distributors to try to get something with flavor.
Right.
And then Gabe was like, hold on, have you heard of these guys?
Let me blow your mind.
The real game changer was Snallygaster.
Yeah.
And so,
Field Days probably, right?
Field Days introduced us to RER.
Right. Yep.
But Snallygaster opened up for a lot more of the breweries. So I mean, we'd had some here and there.
Yeah.
100%.
But when we did Snallygaster in 23. And so, I mean, we went through the whole gambit, right? We looked at every brewery that was going to be there, every beer that was going to be there, and we made a list.
We overanalyzed.
We super overanalyzed.
We got to hit all these ones, whatever.
Came up with a game plan that we didn't follow, but two steps of.
I think the first 3 breweries after that, it was
just willy-nilly.
Actually, I take it back. We didn't even make it to the first one because I sidetracked us on the way to the first one. I was like, oh, there's no one there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, the evolution is there, and so I think the beauty is now, now how do you continue to get? Because all these I mean, there's so many good breweries, right? And even your local breweries are good. And they're putting out good stuff, right? And so how do you keep getting the good beers?
Drink all the
right?
beers.
Yeah. I mean,
How do you afford all the beers?
Yeah,
Is
just
probably
like
the
tonight,
hard-
I'm drinking a beer, and we can be super bougie or whatever, right? Great, it's a month or 6 weeks old,
Right.
whatever, right? And so it's hard to keep up when you have all these good beers that are getting kicked out now.
I've told my wife on several occasions, like, I'm going to slow down on buying beer this month. And she just kind of looks at me and chuckles.
Yeah, you can right up
No,
until
because you'll see something come out like that one Aaron's drinking right now from Ill Will. Like that thing comes out and you're just like, oh my God, I got to have it. You know what I mean?
And then, all these people distribute, right? So you can, other half has got their 11th anniversary kicking off,
coming
right?
out. Yeah.
Right? So they did Freak Week and their 11th anniversary brews. You can buy those, they ship and all. I mean, like, it's all out there. So,
and then this week they have Collab Week.
Yeah.
Like
how
so
do you,
they have 3 weeks of just straight cases of beers flying out of that place. Yeah. So for sure.
Yeah. Okay. How about you, Gabe?
Yeah.
Oh man. So most of y'all will probably laugh at how I got started because I started the craft beer journey. My craft beer journey. I'll say it's kind of bougie when I say it like that. Like I'm doing something special, right? It's special to me. But
I finally found my special purpose.
I found something I'm good at. Drink beer. But it's pretty funny because I started my journey in really getting into craft beer scene in Italy, the land of wine, which blows people's minds. But we had some, they had what they call craft beer festivals, which aren't nearly like Snallygaster or whatnot, but really small. They're not small, but they're not huge like Snally or most beer festivals. But, and they just had all kinds of breweries, and we just decided, me and the wife and the kids packed up the car because they had food, bands, and we just like going out and seeing, getting kind of immersed into the, the culture of Italy. So we really started getting into it there, and we ended up going, I think we were there for 3 years in Aviano, and we went all 3 years in the Lucky, and just got crazy. And I think probably the third year, went with my buddies, Jeff and Josh, and we went, and it was an absolute riot because we were all into the beer scene. Like before that, the first one was like, all right, this is pretty cool. And then the second one, I'm like, oh, this is it. So I'm looking for beers all over the place. And then, walking down the aisles of the grocery store, seeing what they have on stock. And, and then, the third year we go, and the big hype was they were supposed to have Founders Breakfast out, which was the king, the beer of all beers type of beer, hard to get. Now you can find it everywhere, but so we got to taste that, and I was like over the moon. We were like kids on Christmas Day, right? And then we found it was crazy because I think the thing that really kind of opened my eyes to the craft beer scene was that third year. There was a guy sitting, just nobody was visiting his booth, right? And this dude just had like a printer paper on this freaking on his cooler that he's pouring drafts out of, and I'm like, Josh, let's go check this dude out. Let's go talk to this dude. So we're over there, and this dude's straight Italian, and just talking to him, and I was like, what's the best beer you got, man? And he handed me one, and I took a sip, and I was like, yo, this is fantastic. Like, this is probably the best freaking beer in the freaking whole place. And nobody's paying attention to him because he didn't have all the pizzazz. He didn't have the fancy beer labels. Didn't have anything. But, and I keep up with him. I follow him on Facebook. And he's really he grows his own hops. Like, this dude's doing it all. He lives on a farm. And I'll try to remember to bring it up, get some notes on it for the next show. But once that happened, and then I came back stateside, and it got out of control stateside. Once again, going back and forth, Italy, and then I went to Japan, which got real hard, like Mike said, trying to get good beer there. And if you find it, you're gonna pay. Like, you go to Tokyo, you're gonna spend some coin on some beers in Tokyo, and then came back to the States, and then the whole time, loading up suitcases when I come back home for TDYs for conferences and stuff. And everybody's like, why the hell you bring this big ass suitcase? I'm like, because I'm bring a case of beer home. And I think I got 28 beers in a suitcase back.
So
Heck
put
yeah.
in perspective, right? So in Japan, the shop at was Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Lite.
Yeah.
Anytime they got anything special in, it would come in on a pallet.
Yep.
Right. 6 feet tall, whatever it was. Right. Yingling would hit.
Yeah.
And then it would go Facebook famous, and it would be gone.
Yeah.
An entire pallet would be gone.
Dudes be pushing each other away.
I don't know that would last 2 hours.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
From the moment they dropped the pallet to the moment it was like they were picking the pallet up, it was no more than 2 hours.
And so like they had a couple. I can't remember all the beers, right? But then they brought in Lone Star.
Ooh.
They brought in Lone Star, and that sat for months.
Yeah.
Because no one wanted that
brown
crap.
ale.
Yeah. So, and I think that's, and then once I moved back to the States and luckily to be in Virginia and be surrounded by a lot of greatness. But yeah, I mean, my journey's been a lot. I mean, I don't do anything half-assed. So, when I got into it, I was lucky. My wife was 100% on board. So like, cool, he's got a different hobby other than playing softball and bowling and all this other stuff, and he's gone all the time. He sit at home and drink beers. But yeah, the craft beer scene and just the memories that go along with it, man. I mean, you can't beat it. Like, it's awesome.
Fun. It's really fun. Like, and just visiting new breweries and just going to try their stuff. Like, it's just a fun atmosphere.
Try a few beers, get something to eat. People get out of the house.
Yeah, everybody's there for the same reason, just to kind of hang out and chill. So cool. That's awesome.
Sorry for the long story.
Oh hell no. Yeah, I mean, mine was pretty short, so to give you some time. All right, shall we? Coming to the time here, I am pretty excited, to be honest, about this one. We have some pretty good ones on the line here. So
I mean, we have an incredible lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and
wait for this
and
one.
crack some. Yeah. Mike, do us the honors, please.
All right. So if anybody knows RAR Brewery out of Maryland, they got a couple spots, right? And so Cambridge, Maryland is like their big one, and then they have Chessie's Wharf up there in Annapolis. And so they do beer releases every, 6 weeks, 2 months type of things. It's always surrounded by their puppers here, and then it is always a theme. So the latest one they did was all cereal based, and so there's Lucky Charms and Fruit Loops and all this kind of good stuff. Well, this is their deluxe, and so it's a cereal milk. So this one is big on blueberries, strawberries, and cake batter, and because it's a deluxe. It's
awesome.
gonna be thick, right?
Thick
So
boy.
yeah, so we're all pretty excited about this.
Thick with 2 C's.
Yeah, definitely 2 C's.
Yeah, and RR, I mean, that takes us back. Like, that's we've been liking them for a long time.
Oh yeah, that's kind of one of the ones that kind of changed me and Mike's, blew our minds at Field Days at Precarious the first year when the first beer festival me and Mike went to together.
I'm glad they're close enough.
Pretty
amazing to make that happen.
Yeah, so we used to drive up there for pretty much every release, right? So about a 3.5 hour one way. But you get up there, you go to Cambridge. They have I guess smash burgers and all that kind of good stuff, right? They have a good venue up there. It can get really crowded.
Yeah.
But it's great because they have all their release beers. They'll have the warm ones, they'll have the coolers full of cold ones, and then they also have other coolers, right? And so, everyone has their like trays of all these beers, but then you start looking at those coolers.
Yeah, the guest beers that they have in the coolers, and it's
and they get some really great stuff that's distributed in. So if you're close by and you don't know about them, you gotta check them out. They do put out a whole variety. Mm-hmm. Not everybody likes them all, but and everybody is going to poo-poo on the fact that it's a smoothie sour because you people who don't like smoothies, whatever, right? But
it's not real beer.
Yeah, but I'll tell you,
it's fun to drink.
Yeah,
whether it's beer, you classify it as beer or not, we do, and it tastes delicious.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, bros.
Cheers. Not as thick as I expected.
No, not as thick as the other deluxe.
It is good.
Definitely not
good,
as thick
though.
as the Ill Will.
It is good.
Man, great flavor. I think that, man, that is good.
There's a lot of blueberry.
Yeah,
There
the blueberries.
is a big blueberry
Yeah.
kick. Strawberry's a little bit subtle. I think the cake batter finishes on the
It's,
backside.
it's on the back end.
Yeah.
That blueberries.
Yeah, I think, it's kind of hard with blueberries and strawberries because one's going to trump the other one no matter what, because they kind of got the same kind of flavor profile, if you will, unless you get with some really tart strawberries. And then if you do that, you're not going to taste any of the blueberries. So I like this. It tastes really good. I'm trying to think. It's hard for me to put get my words together, but the blueberry and the cake batter, I really like.
Yeah, with the deluxe, like you were thinking that it was going to be one of those thick boys, because we've had those in the past too. Those deluxes, it's like
Yeah, a lot of times,
syrup coming out of it, right? But this is more of I'd say their original consistency, but it is like the flavor is bold. Like,
Yeah, I
it's
wonder if the
pretty good.
deluxe means it's got more fruit in it, because they put a lot more. It's either they put more ingredients in there, or they make it thicker.
Yeah.
But
Every deluxe I've had has always been relatively thick. So
Yeah.
I'm not disappointed at all. But yeah, I mean, I this is a toss up, right? So 4.5 or 4.75 even. I mean, I think, I don't know, man. I think I'm at 4.75.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. It's super good.
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I like it a lot. I wish it was a little bit thicker and had a little bit more body to it, but I'd say a 4 or 5 for sure. But it's as advertised. I mean, if it didn't have the deluxe, I think when it has the deluxe, there's a certain level of expectation, right? If it didn't have deluxe on it, but to me, it's a 4 or 5 beer all day long, and that's still a heater.
Yeah.
I agree with Gabe. And I'm trying as hard as I can not to compare it to the Ill Will, because it's very similar.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So
It is, and that's all I've been drinking this whole show.
Does the Ill Will have lactose?
It should.
It probably does. I don't
Probably
know
does,
if
yeah.
it says directly on the label.
It should say if it's
Yeah.
got lactose. It should say contains lactose on it.
Yeah.
Doesn't. Maybe
I
it
don't
doesn't.
want to spend too much time, but yeah,
Yeah.
it probably does. But the Ill Will is way thicker. Like it is. It's
Absolutely,
very
Yeah, I
thick
mean
and
the
consistent.
Ill Will's got a yogurt kind of,
Yeah,
and this has got like a literally like I would say I don't want to say watered down, because it is not. It's everything but watered down, but it's got a very fluid texture to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's a little less consistent than like milk. I'd say it's a little lighter than milk
Yeah.
is.
And you can see it sloshing around the glass. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty light.
Yeah.
But
when it comes
I
to
would agree.
thickness.
4 or 5 for me as well. So
Yeah. Great flavor. I'll just go ahead and finish off this.
Ah,
can
hell
for
yeah.
you.
Watch all the thickness be in the bottom.
Oh, that'd be a problem.
it could be. You never know.
Mike gets a straw and is like, my cheeks hurt.
Yeah.
All right, so we start off with a lighter sour. We're gonna go next to
Let's see what
a.
Gabe's got.
Yeah. So, I'm not gonna lie, I would only share this with these two guys. I've been trying to get this beer for a while, so it's gonna be hard to see because the label's very, very subdued. But it's the Ghost X from Parrish. Very, very hard beer to get a hold of.
Mhm.
It's kind of like the Ghost. Was it the Ghost Prime? Was it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Prime.
Prime, very good beer. We had that a couple months ago.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't had Ghost in the Machine, go find it because it's freaking delicious. It's a crusher beer. Very, very good.
That's kind of like their flagship, right?
Yeah, that's their flagship. That's probably the beer that they're most known for.
Yeah.
So they're out of Louisiana. So I'm not even going to say it's like Brosard. It's probably got some Cajun that
Close enough,
my epically white northern ass can't even pronounce properly. So, but yeah, so this one's a double IPA. It's got Citra, Mosaic, Simcoe, and then it's got Cryo fresh hops,
Ooh.
which I guess
Yeah.
for those that don't know, Cryo fresh hops are usually very adds a lot of flavor to the brew, and it also has Phantasm powder, which is essentially from my ignorant ass knowing a little bit about brewing, it should be powdered hops, which gives it a little bit more kick. So very good. So this one, it says a saturated DEPA to celebrate 1 decade of Ghost in the Machine. So this is just another kickoff from the Ghost in the Machine.
Did he use the DEPA in a sentence?
DEPA.
He said DEPA.
DEPA. Double IPA. The more you know.
Our viewers might not know
I need that little banner, the more you know. All right. So.
Yeah, let's see this.
Hopefully it's everything that.
I mean, the Prime was good. The Ghost Machine, I mean, that's their staple.
And we've had
this
tons of Ghost in the Machine because our fellows at the old Early Bird shop get it in, and we buy those in the 4-packs just to have them on reserve in case we.
Yeah, and I mean, and Paris makes some great beers like that Ghost Machine. Like you get a 4-pack of them, like you want to try something special, a one-off beer, whatever, right? And then you could just fall back on those. Like those are great beers.
So unfortunately, the label's really hard to see, but you can see the glass.
A lot of carbonation.
Very light, lot of carbonation. I wouldn't say a lot of carbonation, but it looks like a lot of carbonation in the glass. And time to test it out.
All right, cheers.
Cheers, y'all.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
There's a punch there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got on the, I would say it's probably on the drier side of an IPA. Mm-hmm. Like it really kind of pulls that moisture out of your mouth. It's kind of like drinking like a dry wine or whatnot.
A little bit, It's not as juicy as a lot of the other IPAs.
And it's got some hops to it.
It's got some bitterness
aroma. Yeah, his aroma's really strong.
Yeah.
I think it's from the Cryo.
Yeah, there's definitely some bitter on the back.
I wouldn't say it's bad, but it is not like the other. It's not like Ghost Machine at all, I would say.
Yeah, it's definitely got a different flavor profile than Ghost in the Machine. I like it a lot, but it's on the more bitter side than I care for, to be honest with you. I like bitter, but this one's kind of got a little bit of a different.
That dryness kind of just takes it all like in concentrates it kind of like it's a little too far. Yeah, but
it's crazy. I mean,
I don't want to say it tastes skunked, but because I think that's unfair. But
yeah, I don't think it is.
There's something there with the hops that almost conflicts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not my initial when it hit my palate at first. I was like, oh, here we go. This is going to be good. And then that dry finish really kind of wiped it out. Like it really.
I think it's really subtle.
Right.
Like it almost, there's a big hop push on the front,
which just quickly drops.
Yeah. And then it's like big hop, kind of dry, and then it just kind of fades away.
Yeah, I say it fizzles because it Well, dang. I mean, it's still good. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like
I'm still gonna drink it.
We're drinking 4, 6, 4, 7, 4, 5 beers. I think it's still up there.
And I do like the hops punch.
Yeah,
like I think that's really good. So
I just wish it had a little bit more balanced flavor because I really, like you said, Mike. Like to me, when it first hits your mouth, it's it's a lot going on. Like when I say a lot going on, it's not a lot of different flavors, but it really has that flavor profile. You drink it and it's like, wow. And then as soon as that happens, it's like, where to go?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still a solid beer. I think my biggest thing is I had really my expectations were probably
so that's
through the
fair,
roof.
right? So that's the problem, right? Because you expect a really solid brew. And I'm not saying this isn't a solid brew.
Yeah, I mean I drink this all day long.
Yeah, If these are in your fridge, you're going to reach for them. Not an issue at all.
Yeah.
It just doesn't match up to some of the other ones that will probably be on the banger board. So
Yeah.
What do you think you'd give it?
Man, I don't. Plus, I'm drinking the vegan too, so that's really unfair too. But because that's got a lot of body and a lot of texture. I think it's probably a 4.00 to me. It's like, to me, it's probably like a 3.9 if I was going to be like down to the.
Yeah.
I'll round it up to a 4. I think it's a 4 beer. I mean, it's very good. It's just not where I thought it would be. I thought it would have a lot more body to it than what it does. So, because I mean, to me, Ghost in the Machine has more body to it than this.
Yes, it does. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. I really want to give it a 4.25.
same. But
I'm
not sure.
I don't know that I get there.
Right.
It's tough.
And that's the thing. Like, to me, like, when this is the problem I'm having is because I really thought it was going to be a 4.75 beer. Like, I thought I was going to drink it and be like, I'm going to see Jesus kind of thing. You know what I mean? But no, I mean, don't get me wrong, folks. It is a fantastic beer. It tastes really good.
I don't want to compare it against anything else, right? So I don't want to compare it against what I know about Ghost in the Machine or anything else that's on the table or anything. But sitting by itself, I like it. I would drink it. If it's, I would not hesitate to pull it from the fridge.
Would you buy it again?
Oh, for sure.
I would buy it again. Yes. And so that's why, like, half of me is like, it's like a 4.25.
Yeah.
And I wasn't answering for you, Mike. I was answering for me.
Oh,
for the
yeah,
buy it
no,
again.
no.
Like,
yeah. So
it's a toughie. I know.
I'm at a toss up. So, all right, I'll go 4.25.
All right. I will. I'll go 4 flat.
4 flat too.
Yeah, I think it's like a 4.1 maybe for me. So I'm gonna downgrade it down to.
We don't have that bougie Untapped where we can break it down by the.
Not yet.
0.05.
Not yet until we get more followers.
We're bougie. Don't get that wrong. I mean, we're bougie.
No, it's still good. It's okay. Like it's still gonna be on the banger board. I would still recommend it, but it's just just didn't quite hit this time.
Yeah, I think expectations. It didn't meet our over the moon expectations.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
So
holy crap, Aaron, we're at 53 minutes. We're supposed to be shorter this time.
Hey, we're rolling, baby. All right, you boys ready for something new?
No, here we go.
Right.
Here we go. It was burnout time.
Breaking out the stout.
Oh, I was gonna say, I hope you brought a bottle opener. We're not used to that around here.
Let me go ahead and crack it before I forget. But we'll go ahead and review it real quick. So this is it's kind of hard to see. By Mortalis. It's called Experiments in the Kitchen. It is a double. Where are you? Double pastry stout, 10% coming in, conditioned with coconut, peanuts, almonds, maple, vanilla, and pecans.
Did you say peanuts?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure you said peanuts.
So there is a lot going on in here. I did read some reviews, and a lot of people think that there's a little too much going on, but I'm very interested to see, and I'm very, very interested to see how it compares between. We've done a sour and IPA, now we're doing a stout.
And any stout that has more than chocolate and coffee, I think it's going to be good.
Yeah. So let's.
I don't see how people say a stout has too much going on. Like maybe they'll test it right here.
So stout should be complex, right? You should have different layers of flavor.
I don't know why we give it so little.
I think that my favorite part of a stout is just the silky. Like when they're done well, the silky smoothness of them, and then you feel a little bit of the burn.
Yeah.
As you can see, this one's got a lot of dark roastiness going on.
Yeah, I mean, good carbonation out of it though.
I poured it fairly, not sloppy, but it didn't get.
I think
a
it's
whole
probably
lot of head on it.
Just for everybody's situational awareness. These are brand new glasses. We watched them right before the show, so there might be some something going on with glasses. We haven't ran them through the dishwasher, so maybe that might be part of the issue. That because it did the same thing with mine.
Okay. Oh, you already tried it?
Yeah.
All right, let's try it.
Mike has a hard time with dark beers, folks. Just so you know,
I don't have a hard time with.
he has a hard time, folks. He won't admit it, but he
Wow.
has a hard time with.
Go ahead and try that. So it is not labeled as a barrel aged stout, but I would say it is very close to tasting like it. I don't know. Do you think so? Or do you think it's really?
I don't get any bourbon out of it.
I mean, I get a little bit of a burn in there, a little bit.
Here, can I see it? You mind? So
Yeah, I think there's definitely a burn in that, but that's just like that's just the stout, right?
Bourbon.
So, oh yeah, I don't know.
not
Sorry.
bourbon.
Well, that's what I meant. Like, well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like every stout kind of
So I think
kills
probably.
your taste buds a little bit, but
It's almost like a.
So I think this one probably. So we all know, like when you eat a bunch of pecans, that roughness.
yeah.
So I think probably just from my amateur ass trying to analyze this, I think probably the pecans are bringing some of that harshness to the flavor profile and kind of because like I know when I eat pecans, right, it's got that dryness that kind of like agitates your mouth a little bit when you eat them, right? That and between that and the peanuts, I think they're probably button heads.
So
Because like right now, I'm just sitting here. I took a drink 30 seconds ago. I'm tasting
I still taste
peanut butter
We've-
like crazy.
It. Still
I
taste
mean, we've had Mortalis stouts before. We've had a lot of Mortalis before, but I don't know, man. Like this,
There's too much nuttiness to it, in my opinion.
It's very.
It tastes like
roasted.
kind of like a nutty buddy. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of crazy. I don't taste any coconut, which is crazy because usually when
Tastes like
coconut's in it,
it's like a nutty buddy that was sunk in a Guinness.
yeah, fair.
Are you getting any like black licorice at all, or is it more just nutty?
So
I'm trying to figure out that burnt, like that weird. I don't know.
It does have a kind of like that tang, that black licorice tang that sits on your mouth after you eat a piece of black licorice. But I mean, it's kind of weird because it says with coconuts, peanuts, almonds. I don't get any maple syrup. Like
I don't get
literally
any.
zero. Vanilla, not really.
that vanilla is really weak.
Yep. But I get a ton of almonds, peanuts, and pecans.
Yeah.
And I really feel like that's like taking
All right,
going.
I'll
to,
say it. I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I may be the least stout liking out of the trio here.
He is.
But wow, man, like we've had stouts before, and you can take a barrel aged off the table for me because I'm not a fan of that in the least. But we've had several stouts that were good, right? Equilibrium made some good stouts that we had, like the Middletown Mud Pie or whatever that one. Like there were some good ones out there.
Yeah. What's the other one? The Force. What was that one?
dark
This
side,
one, I would just say this one's probably. I'm glad I had the opportunity to try it.
Yeah.
I would not buy it again. So
Yeah, I agree. Like, I just think it's, I don't know, maybe if the thing is like we've had our palates have been blown up with all kinds of different beers
I'm a little
from
worried
different
about that,
spectrums, but I don't
At the
think,
same time, yeah.
like, I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think that has any effect on it because the flavors that I'm tasting some pretty strong flavors that stand out on their own. And it, like, I think if the IPAs or the sour had that effect on it, I don't think I would be tasting those. And
the more I drink it, though, the more and I don't know if Aaron planted a worm in my brain on this, but the more it does kind of taste like it's barrel aged. It may not be. I don't know.
It
but
smells like it has like it has that.
so I
me,
think
that
that
smell is-
silky. It's to me that doesn't smell like barrel aged to me. That smells like that's just roast. That's just a roastiness of the. I mean, and it is very roasty.
There's a big roast to it. I mean, peanut is probably the top flavor that comes out.
Yeah.
It's so weird because you take a drink and it hits your mouth, and initially you get that roastiness, and then it just like it sinks. And when I mean sinks, is like the flavor diminishes, and then it comes back and just blasts you with freaking peanuts, like peanuts
So, like,
and pecans
it's like
and almonds.
It's like when you take a drink, it's like overload,
Yeah,
and you need to let it, like, you need to
and there's like this
drink
white
it down
space.
and then just kind of let it mellow for a few. Like,
Yeah, that's great. Now, so Aaron, what did I just say before we even drank it? I was like, I've never had a stout where I felt like too much was going on.
Yep. And that's the review that
All right.
everyone's been talking about. So
so what do you give it?
I think I'm baselining right now at a 4. Trying to determine if it goes lower. But I think 4 is fair. It's not the worst stout I think I've had, but I think I've had some stouts this past couple of weeks out of a can that were actually better than this. So I'm going to stick probably with a 4.
Man, you're gonna make me feel like a dick.
You're going low.
I'm thinking 3.5.
That's fine. That's okay.
And no, I mean I understand, like, but I think it's a 3.5 just because one, it's Mortalis. They make freaking epically good brews. I really feel like something like I expected way more.
Yeah, I get it too. I get it.
Like if that vanilla was a little bit more of a kick, it could kind of smooth over some things and blend some things out. I was also 3.75.
Okay,
so
yeah, I think coconut, vanilla. I mean, the vanilla is that silky smoothness that we've tasted it, but
yeah,
I just not a fan.
Not
and I'm
not
out
there.
of the three of us, I'm probably more about the stouts than
I mean,
the rest of y'all.
I mean, how many times you see me post not for me?
Yeah.
Don't want to rate something because I don't want to bomb a rating.
It's been a while, but I remember it was a streak there where you got cursed by something. I don't know.
Yeah,
It was
me.
like,
I curse him all the time.
Yeah.
okay, so we got through the beer sharing. I'm just
So
gonna
before we
yeah,
go any
go
further, we're gonna cut Aaron off.
Oh, again.
So we got something. Right? It's a super awesome Amazon box, but I'm going to ask Aaron to go ahead and open this.
Jeez, here we go.
I forgot about this.
So
That's what I get for
I want to
being
make sure that we recognize greatness and reward excellence. And so with all of us in our deep-rooted military careers, I want to make sure that we thank Aaron for all the work that he's done to make this a reality, because Aaron does all the technical work behind the scenes because, let's be real, me and Gabe are too dumb to figure it out.
Exactly. And we get the coolest part about the job is drinking the freaking beers.
So we get to drink the beer. Aaron does all the work, putting it all together. So I want to make sure that we recognize him as the Three Borrachos employee of the month.
Hell yeah.
Good job, Aaron.
I will
keep up the good work, buddy.
I will take it, and I will, continue to do it.
Every time I'm like, Aaron, how do I do a post? How do I do, a story?
Oh, these guys.
So we got to.
He's like teaching. It's like teaching grandparents how to use their phone.
It's okay. I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It is quite a bit of work, but hey, it's what I love to do, and it's fun, and we're having a great time. So that's all that really matters. I was gonna say just quickly about the banger board, just a quick rule change. So we are going to be doing average scores now. So right now, Carampus is still at number 1
From Clag?
Yes, from Clag. It is at a 4.67. Evil Twin, even more straight out of the Marshmallow Laboratory. Triple IPA is at a 4.5. Adroit Theory, Renegade, Triple IPA, 4.25. We will go ahead and add these 3 to the board for next week. And then, were you going to say something about the Super Bowl?
Yeah, so real quick, right? So Super Bowl's in a week from now, right? We won't do a show between now and the Super Bowl. Well, I think we'll do a show next Saturday, right? No, we're off this Saturday. Yeah, so this Saturday, this coming up Saturday is going to be a travel. So we'll try to get out and about and do some things. So we won't have a show between now and the Super Bowl. So just want to kind of kick it off there and see, who you guys got for the Super Bowl. Gabe, what do you got?
Well, I'm a Falcons fan at heart. They suck, but I'm a Falcons fan at heart. So it pains me to say this, but my daughter goes to school in Philly, and I didn't get to tell you guys this because this happened while I was out and about in Illinois. But my daughter got to go out. She goes to college in Philly.
Oh, no.
She got to go out into the wildness of the streets of climbing street poles and all that. She didn't do that, but she just filmed people doing that. So she actually hit me up. It's like, Dad, I think I'm going to be an Eagles fan. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but more power to you. You're watching football, which is more than your mom will do. So fly, Eagles, fly.
Yeah. Okay.
Aaron?
ELGSES. Eagles.
That's for the mayor of Philadelphia.
Wow. Yeah. I can't believe she did that. But you know, whatever. She tried. So
I mean, that's her team, right?
yeah. You know, as a Steelers fan, it pains me, but you know, whatever. I'm going to stick with Pennsylvania team, so we're going to go
Yeah. I
Philly.
mean,
Yeah.
it's fine. I mean, I hate Mahomes, whatever, right? I'm going to go on a limb here, though. I'm voting for Bane. So if I get Bane to show up, blow
No one
everything up,
wins.
suck both them teams down in there, and then we never have to hear from either one
Hell
again. Because,
yeah.
you know, honestly,
Tired of both of them, probably.
less tired of Philly. But God, I can't stand Kansas City.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
You know, never know. All right. So, end of the show here. We're going to ask you to follow us on Instagram, Untapped, at 3 Borrachos Show. Hit us up on email if you want to be on the show. I think we have a couple special guests coming up in the next few weeks. So we're very excited. Thank you for following us. And as always, life is too short to drink bad beer. We'll see you next time. Thanks.
there you go.